What's going on, family? What's going on? What's going down? Welcome to another episode of NonFiction with Jonathan Soul. So, a lot of y'all have probably seen the interview with our brother Byron Allen. Byron Allen is once was a comedian, talk show host. He got into business. He started producing shows for cable, and he was able to build one of the largest libraries of television content on planet Earth. Now, if you guys are business people or have some sense of the way business works, you know that TV shows are basically vehicles for advertising. And so, from my reading, Byron Allen has had some success with Verizon and some other cable companies in terms of, selling his shows and them giving him, they're partnering up on an advertising dollar. But he hasn't had that success with Comcast. And, through, his personal experience and different salesmen, they basically doing it because they're racist pieces of shit. And so what he did was he's taking them to court. And so if you guys want to know the full story in detail, definitely go to the Breakfast Club on YouTube and look up their interview, which we did recently. It's a very important interview. But it got me to thinking, right? So let me give you a feeling. So then the big thing is, okay, they went to the court, and then they went to the circuit court, then the Court of Appeals, and he's racking up wins. And so Comcast decided to go to Supreme Court on this. And what they're doing is they're challenging a civil rights law act that became law in 1866. Now think about that. 1866. That's 100 and I don't know, 50, 100 and some years ago, right? And the law basically is saying that now that African people are free or what. Let me just read it to you, because basically the reason why I'm bringing this up instead of giving you guys the headlines like I did in other episodes is because this seemed like a sneak attack. This seemed like a sneak attack. This seems like Comcast, with the help of the Trump administration. By the way, there's some kind of, me not being a legal mind, I would say it's a letter of support, but I think they call it an amicus brief. So Comcast was able to get a letter of support from Trump's Justice Administration, the Department of Justice. So they go into the Supreme Court, which Trump was able to get that dude on there and other people. And the people that Obama put on there was conservative anyway. So they got support from the Trump administration. So that's a hard hustle. That's you fighting uphill at that point, right? So what's the law? Let's just give it context. Okay, so 39th Congress, Session 1. Okay, so I'm getting this from LOC, so libraryofcongress.gov. And it says here, says an act to protect all persons in the United States in their civil rights and furnish the means of their vindication. So this law, the title of it is self-explanatory. It's want to protect you and give you a means to defend yourself. Okay, let me get into the text. And it's a couple of pages, but I'm just going to read it, a couple of sentences. To be enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that all persons born in the United States and not subject to any power, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared to be citizens of the United States, and such citizens of any race or color, regardless of any previous condition of slavery, that's us, or involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party has been duly convicted, shall have the same right in every state and territory in the United States to make and enforce contracts, to sue, to be parties, and to give evidence, to inherit, to purchase, lease, sell, hold, and convey real and personal property to full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for the security of person and property, as enjoyed by white citizens. They specifically said that. I'm reading it verbatim. As enjoyed by white citizens, and shall be subject to punishment, pains, and penalties, and to none other, any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom, to the contrary notwithstanding. I'm not a legal cat, but basically this came out in 1866. When was the Civil War over? When was it? 1865 or something like that? Civil War ended. Civil War. Somebody said Civil War ended in 1968. No, I said civil rights. What's the point? The point is, when I read that, the first thing that I thought about, right, was Dred Scott. And you're like, Dred Scott? How does... Okay, yeah, so August 9th, 1865, the Civil War ended. And when I'm looking at this, I'm trying to go back to my page here. When I'm looking at this is August 9th, 1866. So a year later to the day. You know that's about us. Now, here's the thing. Everybody knows that phrase from the Dred Scott case. What is it? No black man has rights that a white man need respect. That came out. That was 1857. So during that time, slavery was still happening, you know, if you wasn't incarcerated. But Dred Scott was free. But this Chief Justice Robert B. Taney basically said, fuck all y'all. So this is what I feel like my brother Byron Allen is saying. He's saying if we lose this, they're trying to take us back to 1865. 1865 is in that same vibration as 1857 when the Dred Scott case was about. So you know how they do. They'll pass something legislatively, but they won't act on it for like 5-10 years. You guys remember the Real ID Act? Everybody's like, oh my God, they're going to put a chip, this, that, and the third. And they passed it, and people was bitching, and then they stopped. And so now we getting the letters. Okay, now you got to get you can't travel domestically unless you got this. You can't, well, you need all this, your papers, please. So we slowly sliding into darkness, into a fascist state. So I'm asking any podcasters listen to my voice, talk about this shit. You know, make noise and talk to your local congressional representative. You know, hit them up on the social media and call their office and saying you need to be supporting Byron Allen on this. Because they're trying to do some sneaky shit that's going to jeopardize our freedom. Because you know how it is. It's not like a movie where something happens and then the whole world changes. It's slow. You see the cats don't fear. Put it like this. If we go back, right, and we look at that law again, what they saying is that you can't, that we should be able to sue and we can be able to do all this stuff if we're being discriminated against, right? Because of our previous condition of servitude. That's what it's about. Because by and large, the Africans, immigrants that's coming over here not getting that kind of heat. They're not getting what we're getting. That's why a lot of them think the way they think. You know what I mean? You know, so no disrespect to them, but you know, they don't know our history. We had to learn it because for survival. So what would happen? How would this affect all these police shootings? How would this affect civil suits? Let's say, for example, a cop shoots the window and kills grandma or something. Right? Maybe you can't get the social media energy that you need to keep the case in the public eye in order to get a halfway decent verdict. Well, then you go civil. But wouldn't this affect the civil suit? You know what I'm saying? It's like, again, I'm not a legal person, but I'm a logical person. And if they go into the Supreme Court, they lost in the district courts. Then they went to the Court of Appeals. What they fighting on is not the money. They can afford it. Given Byron Allen or black-owned media, it's not that many black-owned medias around. Not big ones. The two biggest ones I know is Entertainment Studios, which is Byron Allen, and TV One or Radio One or whatever the news, Kathy Hughes here in D.C. So it's not about the bread. It's about principle. Trump has emboldened these motherfuckers to be as racist as they want to be. It's like a cat said in high school when Reagan got elected. He was like, Reagan made it cool to be racist again. And that's what Trump is doing. So now it's going into the legal aspect to where they're like, okay, it's not going to be no consequences for us. You're not going to be able to take us to court. Because if they negate this, what else are they going to go after? You know how it is in America when it comes to like security and defense. Once they wiretap you, they're going to keep wiretapping you. Once they can search without no warrant, they're going to keep searching. It's not like you get those rights back after the crisis is abated. Trump can keep killing these terrorists that's been killed already and keep dropping people in the ocean until Atlantis start protesting in the streets. It's not going to stop the stuff they're doing. So when I look at this as like, I don't want to say a shot on the bow, but when people talk about civil war, that's really what this seems like. It seems like this is a civil war. We're trying to go after your civil rights. Look at the interview with Byron Allen. He talks about this act in 1866 that it looks like it was written down on April 9th. And remember that the Civil War ended on the same day a year later. And remember about Dred Scott, the Dred Scott decision, 1857. All this is related, family. They got us distracted about some fucking environment, some gay rights bullshit or whatever. Think about all of the, that's what I said. I said bullshit. Think about Sandra Bland or that little kid, Trayvon Martin, or a young man or whatever. All these different people that got murdered. Do you think the cops cared about their sexual orientation? Fuck no. It's a cover for white gay males just to get more access to resources. They want to be considered a minority. And they can't grow their population naturally. And so they want to have access to the children so they can recruit them early. And in situations like this, it's going to be black children that's going to be the most vulnerable. How many of us had teachers in our schools that got in trouble for being sexually, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically molesters or pedophiles when we was in school. I didn't find out after I graduated that one of our teachers was taking pictures of girls. He ended up getting locked up. But it wasn't immediate. He was practicing for years. I'm going off on a tangent. All I'm saying is, go look at that interview that Byron Allen did. It's a long interview. If you don't have the attention span, then I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Go watch a video or something, music video. Go watch Empire, and everything will be cool. I said it. Go watch that. It'll be all right. Let us handle this business. We'll call you when the work is done. But the rest of you that got the attention span, look at the video, read up on this, and talk to your representatives. We have to create a buzz. By the way, the court case going before the Supreme Court, from the interview said it was November 16, 2019. So we got to make a buzz and we got to make it loud. All right, family. I love you guys. I hope all your dreams come true. This is Jonathan Soul. I call this show NonFiction because I usually talk about comic books. Black people who make comics for black people, or for the world, but for black people. And so on my website, johnthesoul.com, I have interviews with the creators. A lot of them are writers. Some of them are writers, illustrators, all of them own their stuff, publish their own work. A lot of them got, usually a brother with a kid or two, you know what I mean? Wifey. It's just a family. It's usually like a family affair. And that brings joy to me. So I usually discuss that book, and we get into the comic and the superheroes and all that kind of stuff. But really, I'm introducing you to the person, the artist who's becoming a businessman. That's what my show is about. And of course, we talk about the nerdy stuff and the comics and everything. But when you listen to a Jonathan Soul interview with one of these creators, when you finish, you know them a little better. You know them a little better. And if you're a creative person, they'll inspire you to, to put your, put your hands on the wheel and do some work. Love you guys. Hope our dreams come true. Jonathan Soul on Twitter, Jonathan Soul on SoundCloud, Jonathan Soul on iTunes, and did I say Instagram? And Instagram. All right. Peace.